You don't have to marry that broke, crippled Korean man. You just met him 6 months ago.
I love him. I don't care if he is broke or crippled.
Naya, you're gonna regret this, honestly.
Seo-jun, think this through. You could be making the greatest mistake of your life by not telling your parents about this. I can handle my parents.
Here comes my sister's broke and crippled husband. Let the show begin. That's the groom.
Last chance to change your mind. I've never been more sure of anything.
I think she's coming. Look at him, sitting there like he's about to marry a queen.
Maybe queens are cheap this season.
A cripple. My sister is marrying a cripple in a rented suit.
I can't believe she dragged your father into her shame. Just look at them.
Don't stress it, Mom. Naya deserves that man. Don't listen to them.
I'm not listening to anyone but you.
Seo-jun, do you take Naya Campbell to be your lawfully wedded wife?
I do.
Naya Campbell, do you take Woo Seo-jun to be your lawfully wedded husband?
I do. Mom, is that a diamond?
That's impossible. It can't be.
Where did you get this?
My name is Woo Seo-jun, son of Woo Min-jae.
No, this can't be. You made me believe you were crippled?
I know. Let me explain, Naya.
As in Woo Group in Korea. That's their son.
Their net worth is in the trillions, Chidi. Trillion. Woo!
I was never disabled. I came here because I wanted someone to choose me before they knew what I was worth. And you did.
No, he is mine! I met him first! Sylvia, what are you talking about? Give me the veil. Give me the dress. I should be the one standing there, not you.
Have you lost your mind?
Where the hell is my son?
Okay, you're probably wondering how they all got here. Don't worry, I'll explain. I'll take you back 6 months earlier so you'll understand how it all happened. But before that, hi, my name is Jasmine. Welcome to my channel, Afro-Korean Mafia series by Jasmine. And to everyone who's been here, commenting, sharing, thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because trust me, you don't want to miss this one.
Naya, is the food ready yet? Your sister needs to eat before leaving for work. Be fast with that.
Food is ready.
Sit down and eat.
Mom, I'm not hungry, please.
What do you mean you are not hungry? Sit down and eat, Sylvia.
Happy now? I'm eating. Bye, Mom. I'm leaving for work. Unlike some people who work only night shifts.
I don't blame you. And you, make sure you clean your sister's room. I have dirty clothes in my room that needs washing.
Sylvia can clean her room, Mom. I'm tired. I need to sleep. I'm so tired. I miss you, Mom. Why did you leave me alone in this world?
What do you think about us getting married, being so much in love?
Love doesn't exist in my world, darling. Let's travel to Spain next month, please.
Her phone buzzed. She checked it, then stood, already reaching for her bag. I have to take this. I'll call you later, okay? She was gone before he answered. A few minutes later, Lim let himself in, glancing at the door Yuna had just walked through. So, any progress? Same as always, Seo-jun said, dropping onto the couch. I brought up marriage, and she brought up Santorini. Lim exhaled, unsurprised. That's the fourth one this year. They're all the same, Seo-jun said. Every one of them. They know exactly who my father is before they even sit down across from me. Vacations, gifts, the right restaurants, none of it is about me. It's about what my name can buy them. Not every woman in Korea is like that. Maybe not, Seojun said, but every woman I've met so far is. I can't walk into a room without my father's name walking in ahead of me. I'm tired, Seojun said, rubbing his eyes. You've said that before. Not like this. He rubbed a hand over his face. I don't want another Yuna. I want something real, and I'm starting to think I'll never find it here. So this is what then? Lim said. A hunger strike for love? Seojun almost smiled at that. I read too many books when I was a boy. I believe in it. Real love. The kind that doesn't check your bank balance before it decides how it feels about you. A romantic, Lim said, like it was an insult and an endearment at once. A hopeless one, Seojun agreed. Seojun pulled out his phone, scrolling absently, thumb slowing over a video, something bright and full of movement. Women dancing at some outdoor event, laughter loud enough that it carried even through a phone speaker. He sat up. Lim, I have an idea. Lim's face already looked wary. What idea? Seojun turned the phone around so Lim could see. This. Lim squinted at the screen, then at him. That's a video. What am I looking at? Nigeria, Seojun said. I want to go to Nigeria. Lim was quiet for a second too long. You want to fly across the world because of a TikTok? I want to fly across the world because nobody there has any reason to know my name, Seojun said. For the first time in my life, that's not a problem. That's an advantage. Fine, Lim said slowly. Say I accept that. You still can't walk in looking like yourself. The face, the clothes, none of it means anything without money behind it. But people notice a handsome young man with a nice face regardless. Women will still come for you. I know, Seojun said. That's why I've been thinking. I'll use a wheelchair. Lim actually laughed, short and disbelieving. A wheelchair? If a woman can love a man who's poor and disabled, Seojun said, there's no version of that love that's about anything except her. No one chases a man for his money when they think he can't even stand up to spend it. Woo Seojun. Lim rubbed a hand over his face like he could physically massage some sense into the conversation. You want to fly to a country you've never visited, pretend to be poor, and fake a disability? Do you hear yourself? This isn't romantic. This is a lot. You don't have to understand it, Seojun said. You just have to help me do it properly. Lim stared at him a long moment, then exhaled, defeated. If your father asks, I fought you on this. I want that on record. Noted, Seojun said, already smiling like the matter was settled. The Wu estate sat behind its own gates on the edge of the city, the kind of property that took visitors 10 minutes to walk from the entrance to the front doors. 2 cars idled in the drive at all hours, ready to move the moment anyone in the family stepped outside. Seojun found his father in the study, a room lined with more awards than books. You turned down the Choi girl, his father said, not looking up from the documents on his desk. It wasn't a question. I did. Do you understand what that family represents? Her father controls half the shipping routes in and out of Busan. A match like that doesn't come twice. I understand exactly what it represents, Seojun said. A merger, not a marriage. His father finally looked up. Every marriage in this family is both. Yours will be no different, whether you accept that now or later. From the doorway, his mother's voice cut in, smooth and composed. Min-jae, let him breathe. Han Seo-yeon crossed the room and settled into the chair beside her husband's desk, elegant even in how she sat. Seojun, darling, no one is forcing you to marry tomorrow. We only want you settled with someone suitable, someone who understands this world. Is that so much to ask? I haven't found the right person, Seojun said. That's all this is. You haven't looked properly, his father said. You've dated the same 6 women recycled through every gala in Seoul. Seojun let that sit for a moment before he spoke again. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. The Nigeria expansion. The office needs someone to represent the family there while the partnership terms are finalized. His father's brow furrowed. You're the COO. That is not your role. We have people for that. I want to go, Seojun said simply. I've never been to Africa. It would be good for me to see how the company operates somewhere outside of what I already know. His mother studied him carefully, the way she always did when she suspected there was more beneath a sentence than what was said. This is sudden. It's an opportunity, Seojun said. That's all. His father considered it a long moment, then waved a hand, already returning to his documents. Fine, go. See your Africa. But don't think this conversation about your marriage is finished, Seo-jun. It is only postponed. Understood, Seo-jun said, and left the study before either of them could ask anything further. The private jet touched down just after noon, the cabin still smelling faintly of the coffee the flight attendant had poured somewhere over the Sahara. Seo-jun unbuckled his seatbelt and looked out the window at the tarmac shimmering in the heat. Well, he said, stretching, welcome to Nigeria. Lim was already gathering their bags from the overhead compartment, more out of habit than necessity. There was staff for that, though Lim never quite trusted anyone else to handle it. So what now? He asked. I'll call ahead, get us the best suite the city has. Something with a view. No, Seo-jun said. Lim paused. No? Think about it, Seo-jun said. A poor disabled man checking into the most expensive hotel in Abuja? People talk, Lim. It would take a week before someone started asking questions I can't answer. So where do you propose we stay? On the street for authenticity? An apartment, Seo-jun said. Something modest. A room and parlor, nothing more. Something an ordinary man could actually afford. Lim stared at him like he'd suggested they set the money on fire instead of spending it. A room and parlor. It's temporary, Seo-jun said. A few months, and then we're back to our lives. You'll survive. I don't have a choice, do I? Lim muttered, slinging the last bag over his shoulder. You're the one with the money. I'm just the one who has to live in whatever you decide to prove a point. A taxi pulled up outside the terminal, and the driver leaned across to roll down the passenger window. Where to? We need an apartment, Seo-jun said, settling into the back seat while Lim folded the wheelchair into the boot. Something to rent for a few months. Nothing fancy, a room and parlor, somewhere ordinary. Do you know any good areas? The driver considered this, pulling back into traffic. Plenty of options. Depends on your budget and whether you want quiet or somewhere with life around you. The apartment complex the driver eventually pulled up to sat behind a gated fence, a security guard waving them through after a quick word with the driver. It wasn't grand, nothing close to what either of them was used to, but the building was clean, freshly painted, the kind of place that took pride in itself without needing to announce it. Inside, the receptionist slid a laminated price sheet across the counter. You can pay nightly, monthly, or for the full duration of your stay up front. If you pay for the full stay and leave early, we refund the difference, no questions asked. The full stay, Seo-jun said, already reaching for his card. The receptionist blinked, clearly not used to guests answering that fast, but processed the payment without comment. The unit itself turned out better than Lim's face had suggested he expected. A proper bed, a bathroom that didn't look like an afterthought, decent light through the windows. Not a mansion, not even close, but not the disaster Lim had been quietly bracing for either. Lim set the last bag down and looked around slowly. Well, he said, I've slept in worse, once. During a war, though, so. Seo-jun raised an eyebrow. You've never been to a war? Details, Lim said, already testing the mattress with visible suspicion. The point stands. I am adapting. Heroically. Seo-jun shook his head, half a laugh escaping despite himself, and looked out the window at the unfamiliar street below. The beginning, he hoped, of something real. Weeks later, on a street in Abuja, Sylvia checked her watch and picked up her pace, heels clicking sharp against the pavement. She hated being late, hated it more than almost anything. That was when she noticed him, a man in a wheelchair, being pushed along the pavement by an older man wearing a shirt that had been washed one too many times. The wheelchair creaked faintly with every turn of its wheels. Excuse me, Seo-jun called out as they drew close. Excuse me, please, can I talk to you for a moment? She slowed, more out of surprise than courtesy, and Lim brought the wheelchair to a stop beside her. I'm sorry to disturb you, Seo-jun said. I saw you and I thought you were beautiful. I wanted to know if maybe we could be friends, get to know each other. For a moment, Sylvia just looked at him, really looked, the wheelchair, the worn shirt, the whole picture of him, and then she laughed, not politely, not to be kind about it. Friends, she repeated. You're asking me to be your friend? Look at yourself. You can't even stand up on your own, and you think you have something to offer a woman like me? I wasn't asking because of what I have, he said quietly. You don't have anything, she said. That's the point. Don't waste my time again. She turned and walked off without waiting to see his reaction. Lim glanced down at Seo-jun, an unspoken "I told you so" sitting plainly on his face. Seo-jun said nothing, just watched her go, something in his expression gone tired that had nothing to do with the heat. By the time Sylvia reached her office, she'd already forgotten most of it, Or rather, she'd turned it into something funny, something to tell. She had her phone to her ear before she even sat down. "You will not believe what just happened to me," she said, laughing into the receiver. "This man, in a wheelchair, Donald, asking if we can be friends. Me! Can you imagine the mouth on him?" She didn't wait for whatever Donald said back before she was laughing again, already moving on, already forgetting his face. A few days later, the car dropped Seo-jun off at the edge of a busy road where a bus idled, engine running, the conductor calling out the last stop before departure. Lim pulled away to park properly, leaving Seo-jun to wheel himself the rest of the way toward the bus. A young woman stood nearby, adjusting her bag, waiting to board the same bus. Before he could even ask, she'd already moved toward him. "Here, let me help you up." Together they managed it, her steadying the wheelchair while he pulled himself up onto the step. The conductor, watching the whole thing unfold, threw his hands up. Why will a man in wheelchair come and be boarding bus like this now? How will you manage yourself when we reach your stop? Who's going to carry you down?" "I'll manage," Seo-jun said simply, and the conductor grumbled something under his breath but waved them both on anyway. Once they were seated, Seo-jun turned to her. "Thank you, really." She just smiled, unbothered, like it hadn't cost her anything. "You're welcome." When the bus reached his stop and she helped him back down onto the pavement, he tried his luck. "Can I have your number? I'd like to be your friend, if that's all right." She smiled again, said nothing, and walked off into the crowd like the question had simply floated past her. Seo-jun watched her go, then allowed himself something close to a laugh. Well, at least one of them had been kind. That was something. Back at the Campbell house, the living room was a flurry of motion. Sylvia in front of the mirror deciding between two dresses, Mrs. Campbell fussing over her hair, the whole house tilted toward the evening ahead. Naya stood in the doorway, watching. "I want to come too." Sylvia paused, dress half-zipped. "To Donald's birthday?" "Naya, it's a proper event. Family and close friends only." "Am I not family?" Naya said. "Am I not your sister? Besides, I'm not asking to be a guest of honor. Everyone else in this house is going. I just don't want to be the one left behind again." Mrs. Campbell's reflection in the mirror didn't so much as flicker. "Someone has to stay and make sure this house doesn't fall apart while we're out enjoying ourselves. The kitchen needs cleaning, the laundry needs finishing, and I want this whole place spotless by the time we're back." "Why does it have to be me?" Naya's voice cracked, just slightly, before she caught it. "Because I said so," Mrs. Campbell said, already turning away, the matter closed as far as she was concerned. Mr. Campbell lingered a moment by the door as the others filed out, and rested a hand briefly on Naya's shoulder. "We won't be long," he said quietly. "Take care of things here, all right?" It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even close to one. But it was the only softness offered, and Naya took it because it was all there was. The door shut behind them, and the house went quiet in that particular way that made every sound feel louder than it should. Naya stood there a moment, then sat down slowly on the stairs and let herself cry, not loudly, not for long, just enough to empty something out before she had to get up and start on the kitchen. 2 weeks later, Lim wheeled Seo-jun into a modest restaurant not far from the apartment. Clean tablecloths, warm lighting, the kind of place ordinary families came for a good meal without it costing a fortune. Seo-jun looked worn down in a way that had started to feel less like a costume and more like the truth. "I'm sorry," he said when she came to his table. "I don't have enough for a full meal. I was hoping, is there anything small? Anything I could maybe do instead to earn it?" He didn't perform it, didn't make a show of his hunger the way some people did when they wanted sympathy. He just asked, plainly, like a man used to being told no and bracing for it anyway. Naya looked at him a moment. Then she said, "Sit down. I don't want to make trouble for you." "You're not," she said. "Sit." She didn't ask his name like she was doing him a favor. She brought him a plate, real food, not scraps, and when her manager raised an eyebrow at the till later, she quietly covered the difference herself and said nothing more about it. Seo-jun ate like a man who meant it, and when he looked up at her, there was something in his face that wasn't gratitude exactly. It was closer to disbelief, like he'd been expecting one thing from the world and had just been handed something else entirely. "Thank you," he said when he finished. "I mean it, thank you." "It's just food," Naya said, already turning to clear another table. But it wasn't just food, and some part of him already knew it. Seo-jun came back to the restaurant 3 more times that week, and by the 4th visit, Naya had stopped pretending she wasn't watching the door for him. "You again," she said, setting a plate down without being asked. "Me again," he agreed. "I promise I'll pay you back properly one day." "With what money?" she said, arching an eyebrow, and immediately looked like she regretted it. Sorry, that was rude. It was accurate, he said, and something about how easily he laughed at himself instead of flinching made her laugh too. By the fifth visit, she stayed past the end of her shift to sit with him, chairs stacked around them, the restaurant emptying out. Can I ask you something? He said. Why do you do this? Feed a stranger who can't pay you back. Naya shrugged, tracing a water ring on the table with her finger. Because somebody should. I know what it's like to need something and have people look straight through you. That sounds like a story. She was quiet a moment, like she was deciding whether he'd earned it yet. My mother died when I was young. My father remarried. My stepsister, Sylvia, we actually get along. She's rude but harmless. My stepmother is a different matter. What do you mean? I mean, I've lived in that house over 20 years and never once felt like it was mine, Naya said. I cook, I clean, I do the laundry. Nobody asks, it's just understood. Sylvia gets driven to work, I take the bus. Her wins get celebrated at dinner, mine barely get mentioned. That's not a family, Seojun said quietly. That's staff who happens to share a surname. Naya let out a short laugh, surprised he'd landed on exactly the word she'd never said out loud. That's exactly what it is. And your father? Something in her face shifted, softer and sadder at once. Not cruel, just absent. He lets things happen instead of stopping them. I stopped waiting for him to choose me a long time ago. I meant what I said the first day, Seojun told her. I wasn't desperate for a meal. You were the first person in this city who looked at me and didn't calculate what I was worth to her. Maybe I just liked your face, Naya said, mostly to break the weight of it, and he laughed, grateful for the out. But it settled between them anyway, quiet and real. What happened to you? She asked, nodding at the wheelchair. An accident. A few years ago. I had a business, a life, all of it. Then one day it was gone, and so was everyone who claimed to care about me while I still had it. Naya's face softened. That's not fair. No, he agreed. But I've stopped waiting for fair. I'd rather find one person who's honest than 100 who are polite. Something passed between them then, unspoken, and neither of them tried to name it. 3 months slipped by the way good months do, quickly, and without either of them quite noticing how much had changed until it already had. Seojun took her out twice in that stretch, nothing extravagant, because extravagant wasn't a language he was allowed to speak yet. The first time, Lim drove them to a quiet garden on the edge of the city. String lights strung between the trees for some minor local event neither of them had known about in advance, and they'd simply stayed for it, sharing suya from a vendor's cart, Seojun making her laugh so hard she nearly dropped hers in the dirt. The second time, he'd saved for weeks, or made a convincing show of it, to take her to a proper restaurant. Nothing fancy by the standards of the world he actually came from, but far beyond what a man in his position should have been able to afford. And she'd noticed, and hadn't asked, because by then she'd stopped needing every part of him to add up. Somewhere between the garden and that dinner, without either one announcing it, they'd fallen in love. Naya was propped against her pillows, phone angled away from the door, smiling at her screen in a way she didn't know her whole face was doing. Sylvia, painting her nails on the other bed, glanced over. Who has you smiling like that? You've been doing it for weeks. Nobody, Naya said, and smiled wider, which undid the lie completely. Nobody, Sylvia repeated, unconvinced, and before Naya could react, she'd crossed the room and snatched the phone straight out of her hand. Sylvia! Sylvia was already scrolling, reading the name at the top of the chat. Seojun. She looked up. That's a Korean name. Where did you even meet a Korean man? Somewhere, Naya said, reaching for the phone, missing. Let me see him then. What does somewhere look like? Sylvia tapped into his photo, and her whole face changed, recognition landing hard and fast. Wait, I know this man. She looked up at Naya, something between disbelief and horror. I met him, months ago. He walked up to me on the street, in a wheelchair, asking to be my friend. Naya went very still. You're serious? Dead serious. Sylvia's mouth curled. Naya, what are you doing with someone like that? A crippled man begging strangers for numbers on the street? Naya was across the room before she'd even decided to move, snatching the phone back out of her sister's hand. Don't talk about people you don't know. I do know him. I just told you. You met him once, Naya snapped. You know nothing about him. She was already grabbing her jacket, hands shaking slightly. Of all the people to fall for, Sylvia called after her, a broke man, a broke Korean man, Not even a solid man from home who could actually take care of you. Naya didn't answer. She walked straight out of the house and didn't look back. The next evening, Seo-jun sat across from Lim in the apartment, turning a small velvet box over in his hands like he'd been holding it for longer than he was willing to admit. "I want to propose to her," he said. "I love her, Lim. I want to marry her." Lim set down his cup slowly. "Are you out of your mind? You want to get married without your family's consent? Without even telling them? What happens when your father finds out?" "He won't be happy," Seo-jun said. "That's exactly why I'm not asking him." "Seo-jun, if I tell them," he said, "they'll never let it happen. You know that as well as I do. So I'm not giving them the chance to stop it. I'll marry her here, quietly, and deal with the rest after." "This isn't a small decision to make quietly." "It's my decision," Seo-jun said, steady. "Not theirs. Whatever comes of it, I'll carry it, not you." Lim studied him a long moment, then exhaled through his nose, defeated in the particular way he always was right before he gave in anyway. "Fine. If you're doing this, properly at least. Let me help you plan it." They decorated the small living room with what they could find. String lights again, because it felt right, a handful of candles, flowers bought that morning from a stall near the apartment. It wasn't grand. It didn't need to be. Naya arrived expecting an ordinary evening and found Seo-jun waiting by the window instead, and something in the room told her instantly that this wasn't ordinary at all. "Seo-jun, I don't have much," he said, wheeling toward her, box already open in his hand. "I never have, but everything I do have is yours, if you'll take it. Naya, will you marry me?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes." Telling her family went exactly as she'd expected it to. "A Korean man," Mrs. Campbell repeated, like the words themselves offended her. "A poor one. A crippled one. Why would you bring shame to this family like this?" Naya didn't answer her. She crossed the room instead to where her father sat, silent as always, and knelt beside his chair. "I love him," she said. "We want to get married. Please, give us your blessing." Mr. Campbell looked at her for a long moment, something soft moving behind his eyes, and finally nodded. "You have it." Behind them, Mrs. Campbell and Sylvia kept talking, about standards, about what people would say, about how far Naya had let herself fall, but none of it reached Seo-jun, who sat quietly through all of it with his hand in Naya's, unbothered. He hadn't come to Nigeria for their approval. He'd found what he came for, and nothing they said changed that. 2 months later, the wedding dress hung in Naya's room, simple, unadorned, exactly the kind of dress a woman marrying a poor man might reasonably choose. She barely recognized her own reflection in the mirror, not because of the dress, but because of how calm she looked, how sure. In Seoul, Lim's message arrived on Woo Min-jae's phone at just past midnight. "He's getting married. Today. In Nigeria. I tried to stop him. He wouldn't listen. He told me not to let you come." The chairman read it twice, then a third time, his face going through several colors before settling on something cold and furious. "Get me the airport," he said, already moving. "Now. The jet, immediately." Han Seo-yeon appeared in the doorway, phone still in her hand, having read the same message forwarded a moment later. "Married," she said, like the word tasted foreign. "To a girl in Nigeria. Without telling us. Without telling anyone. He told Lim not to let us come," Woo Min-jae said. "As if that would stop me." Down the hall, Ha-eun stood frozen, staring at her own phone. Her brother hadn't told her either, not a word, not a hint, after everything. She didn't know yet whether she was angrier at him or worried for him, and there wasn't time to decide, because their father was already calling for the cars. By morning, the Wu family's private jet was in the air, cutting toward Nigeria with nothing but fury and disbelief on board, and no idea yet what or who was waiting for them when they landed. Still swinging from Sylvia's rush up the aisle when Woo Min-jae's voice cut through the hall, cold and absolute. "Everybody out! This wedding is over!" The band stopped mid-note. Guests who'd been half standing to see the commotion froze entirely. Naya, still holding the veil Sylvia had grabbed for, turned toward the voice with the rest of the room. "Mom? Dad?" Seo-jun's voice cracked with disbelief. What are you doing here?" His mother swept forward first, composed even in fury, his father a step behind her. Behind them came more of the family's people, filling the back of the hall. Seo-jun's eyes found his sister among them, and something in his face folded. "Ha-eun, how did you even know about this?" Ha-eun didn't answer. She didn't have to. Lim stepped forward instead, his face steady even as his voice wavered. I told them, Lim said. I couldn't let you make a mistake this big and not give them the chance to stop it. I know how badly you've wanted to find real love. I understand that. But doing it behind your parents' backs, that was never going to end well, Seo-jun. If you were going to marry someone, they deserved to know. Seo-jun stared at him like the floor had shifted under his feet. You betrayed me. I saved you, Lim said. There's a difference, even if you can't see it right now. Woo Min-jae's eyes moved over his son properly for the first time. The rack-bought suit, the cheap shoes, the whole disguise still hanging off him. Look at you, he said, voice low with disgust. Look at what you're wearing. The heir to this family, dressed in rags, just to trick some woman into a wedding. I'm disappointed in you, Seo-jun. Genuinely disappointed. You don't understand what this is, Seo-jun said. I understand exactly what this is, his father said. He turned to Naya, taking her in the way he'd just taken in his son, assessing, dismissive. And you, how dare you? You wanted to marry a man without his family's consent, without a single one of us knowing you existed. Did you even ask him if he had a family? Do you know anything real about the man you were about to marry? Or did you just want the wedding, the ring, whatever this was supposed to get you? People don't marry blindly, in the name of love, without caring enough to ask who they're really binding themselves to. Naya's voice shook, but she didn't look away from him. I did ask, she said. He told me he had no family left. He told me he was the only one in this world. Something flickered across Woo Min-jae's face. Not quite surprise, more like confirmation of exactly how far his son had taken this. He didn't address her again. He simply turned back to his son, jaw tight, and gave the order. Around them, the hall had dissolved into noise. Guests murmuring, phones raised, more than one person quietly filming instead of putting their phone away. Woo Min-jae turned to one of the men who'd come in with them. Get him, we're leaving. No, Seo-jun's voice rose, sharp enough to cut through the murmuring. This wedding is happening. Nothing you say is going to stop it. But it didn't matter what he said. Two men were already moving toward him, each taking an arm, pulling him back down the aisle where the wedding had just fallen apart around him. He fought it for a few steps, twisting back toward Naya, calling her name once before the doors swallowed the sound. Naya stood frozen at the altar, the veil still clutched in one hand, tears sliding down her face before she'd even registered she was crying. It was supposed to be the best day of her life. She didn't recognize what it had turned into. Before the Wu family fully cleared the hall, Han Seo-yeon stopped in front of her, looking her over slowly, head to toe, the way someone inspects something they've already decided is beneath them. So you're the one, she said. Tell me, what exactly did you think this was going to be? My son already has a bride, a proper one. Chosen from a family that matches ours, a Korean woman who understands what it means to carry the Wu name. Not some waitress from a restaurant in a country he was never even supposed to fall in love in. Naya said nothing. There was nothing to say that wouldn't have come out broken. Stay away from my son, Han Seo-yeon said, and turned without waiting for a response, sweeping out of the hall after her husband. Behind Naya, Mrs. Campbell burst out laughing, not quiet, not restrained, the kind of laugh that carried across the whole room. Sylvia stood near the front, quieter than her mother, something more complicated moving across her face. She'd been the one reaching for the veil minutes ago, certain she was the one who'd been cheated out of a fortune. Now she watched Naya standing alone in the wreckage of it and felt something shift in her chest that wasn't triumph at all. You know, Sylvia said, walking closer, her voice pitched somewhere between mock sympathy and something almost genuine. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe this wasn't meant for you. Maybe you were never actually destined for all this. She gestured vaguely at the hall, the ruin of it, the money, the family, any of it. Maybe you should just go home. Naya looked at her for one long moment. Then she let the veil slip out of her hand, dropped the bouquet where she stood, and walked out of the venue without another word to anyone. On the private jet, Seo-jun sat rigid in his seat, still in his wedding suit, staring straight ahead. I love her, he said. I'm old enough to decide that for myself. Just let me make this one decision on my own. His father didn't look up from the papers in his hands. No, you're not old enough. You're 26, Seo-jun. Still a child, whether you believe it or not. That's exactly why you're making a mistake like this. I'm not a child. Then stop acting like one, his father said, finally meeting his eyes. A grown man doesn't lie to an entire family for months to trap a woman into loving him. We saved you from a mistake you were too blind to see coming. You didn't save anything, Seo-jun said, voice steady, cold. You destroyed the one thing in my life that had nothing to do with this family's name." His father held his gaze a moment longer, then looked back down at his papers, unmoved. Seo-jun turned to the window instead, watching Nigeria shrink beneath the clouds, and said nothing else the entire flight back to Korea. Naya hadn't gone home in 2 weeks. She was staying with Mercedes, a friend from secondary school who'd never quite lost the habit of mothering her, in a small flat across town that felt safer than her own house had in years. Mercedes set a cup of tea in front of her and sat down across the small kitchen table with the particular patience of someone repeating herself for the 10th time. "You have to pick up his call, Naya. I don't want to talk to him. It's been 2 weeks," Mercedes said. "I've watched your phone light up with his name so many times I've lost count. At this point, you've probably broken some kind of record for ignored calls. Just answer it. Hear him out." "Why?" Naya's voice cracked. "So he can explain why he pretended to be someone he's not for months? Why he let me fall in love with a lie? Maybe he has a reason," Mercedes said, gentler now. "You won't know unless you ask. You're allowed to be angry and still want an answer, Naya. Those aren't opposites." Naya stared at her phone on the table for a long moment before she finally picked it up. He answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting with the phone in his hand. "Naya." Her voice came out smaller than she wanted it to. "Why did you lie to me?" "I don't want to explain this over the phone," Seo-jun said. "Please come to Korea. I'll get you a place to stay, somewhere just for you, no strings attached. Just let me explain everything, in person. You deserve that much. I don't know if I can." "Please," he said, and there was nothing performed in it. "Please, Naya." She closed her eyes. "Okay." She went home the next day, only to collect a few things, and found her mother waiting in the living room like she'd been expecting her. "So this is the famous return," Mrs. Campbell said, not looking up from her phone. "You're all over social media, you know? Everyone's seen it by now. The wedding, the family arriving, all of it. Honestly, it's probably a good thing it happened. Being wealthy clearly wasn't meant for you anyway." Naya stared at her, genuinely stunned that after everything, this was what her stepmother had chosen to say. She didn't answer. She went straight to her room and started packing. Sylvia appeared in the doorway a few minutes later. "Where are you even going?" "Not your business," Naya said, folding a shirt into her bag without looking up. Bag over her shoulder, she came down the stairs and found her father seated in the living room, waiting. "I'm sorry," he said, before she could speak. "For all of it." Naya paused on the last step, unsure what to do with the apology after so many years of silence in its place. "Where are you going?" he asked. "You only just came back, 2 weeks gone, and now you're leaving again." "I have somewhere I need to be," Naya said. "I can't stay in this house right now. Sylvia, Mom, none of them are making it easy, and I need somewhere I can actually breathe. I'll call you, I promise." Her father looked at her a long moment, then rose and pulled her into a hug, the kind he hadn't offered in years. He didn't try to stop her. He just held on a moment longer than usual before he let her go. By evening, she was at the airport. Her flight, already booked, she discovered at check-in, paid for entirely by Seo-jun, was waiting. Hours later, she landed in Korea to a city colder and taller than anything she'd known, and found Seo-jun waiting for her just past the arrivals gate, standing tall, looking at her like he wasn't sure she'd actually come until she was standing in front of him. "Naya," he said quietly, "thank you for coming." She said nothing. She got into the car beside him and turned to the window instead, watching the city slide past. Glass towers, neon signs in a language she couldn't read, everything too bright and too fast after the quiet of home. He didn't push her to talk. He just drove, glancing at her every so often like he was checking she was actually real. He took her away from the center of the city, past the towers and the traffic, into a quieter suburb where the buildings thinned out and the streets grew calmer. "My family's house is nowhere near here," Seo-jun said, glancing at her when she didn't respond. "I did that on purpose. It's the one place they'd never think to look, never just happen to pass by. Nobody knows you're here. Nobody will." Naya said nothing, watching the unfamiliar streets slide past the window. He glanced at her again, waiting, but she didn't offer anything back, and after a moment he let the silence sit and kept driving. The penthouse sat close enough to the river that the water caught the last of the evening light through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city humming quietly below them, distant and unreal. It didn't feel like a showroom of wealth, exactly, more like somewhere a person could actually breathe. His parents, he told her again once they were inside, had no idea this place even existed. Nobody did. He wheeled her bag in behind her and set it down gently by the door. "Make yourself comfortable," he said. There's a bath if you want to freshen up, and I can have something brought up for you to eat, whatever you... That's not why I'm here. Her voice cut through the room, flat and tired in a way that stopped him completely. Seojun turned to look at her properly for the first time since the airport, and she looked back at him with her arms folded, jaw tight, holding herself together by something thin. I'm not here for the comfort, she said, or the view, or whatever this apartment is worth. None of this is what I knew you as. I'm here because you owe me an explanation, and I want it now. Naya, why did you lie to me about your family? She said before he could get further than her name. Her voice cracked halfway through, and she pushed past it. You told me you had no one, that you were alone in this world. I defended that lie to your own father's face, Seojun, because I believed it. I know, Seojun said quietly. Then explain it to me. Why say that? Why not just not mention them if it was so complicated? Why tell me they didn't exist at all? He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice had lost whatever composure he'd been holding on to since the wedding. Because the moment I told you the truth, everything else would have unraveled with it. Who I really am, what I really have. I built the lie to protect the rest of it, and then it just kept growing until it was the first thing you knew about me instead of the last. He exhaled, unsteady. I never should have let you defend something that wasn't even true. That's on me, not you. None of this is yours to carry. Naya's arms tightened around herself, like she was trying to hold something in that kept threatening to spill out. She looked away from him, out at the river, and for a moment neither of them said anything at all. So what now? She finally said, quieter. Your family made it very clear who they want for you. Some billionaire's daughter from a family that matches yours. So why am I here, Seojun? Why did you bring me all this way? He crossed the room to her, slow, like he was afraid she'd bolt if he moved too fast. Naya, I love you. I don't care what my family thinks. I don't care who they've picked out for me. It was always going to be you. I want us to fight for this, for us. She looked up at him, and something in her face had gone very still. Do you even hear yourself? She said. Fight for our love. What love, Seojun? Love that was built on a lie from the very first day I met you? You want me to fight for something I didn't even know was fake until 3 weeks ago? I know, he said, and there was nothing defensive left in him, just something raw. I know what I did. I'm not asking you to forget it. I'm asking for the chance to make it right, to start again, for real this time, now that you actually know who I am. No more pretending, no more hiding anything. Naya didn't answer. She just looked at him, a long, searching look, like she was trying to find the man she'd fed in that restaurant somewhere underneath everything he'd turned out to be, and said nothing at all, the silence stretching out between them heavier than anything either of them could have said. Seojun came to the penthouse holding a folder instead of flowers, which said more about how seriously he was taking things than anything he could have said out loud. I got you a job, he said, setting it down in front of her. At Hanul Capital Group, it's one of the larger financial firms in Seoul. I remembered you studied accounting back home, so I made some calls. Naya opened the folder slowly, scanning the letterhead. You didn't have to do this. I know, he said. I wanted to. I don't know if you'll want to stay in Korea long term, and that's your decision to make, not mine. But while you're here, I didn't want you doing work that didn't match what you're actually capable of. She closed the folder and looked up at him. Thank you. It wasn't much, as far as words went, but it carried weight, an opening, not a resolution. He seemed to understand that too. He took her hand, brought it to his lips, and kissed her knuckles gently. I love you, he said. I can't wait for us to get back to how we were. I love you too, Naya said. But I'm not there yet, Seojun. The humiliation at that wedding, it's still everywhere. People are still talking. None of it had to happen. If you just told me the truth from the beginning. I know, he said quietly. I understand that completely. But let's not keep going back to it. Let's leave the past where it is. This is the present. Let's just focus on that. Naya was quiet a moment, then nodded. Okay, I won't keep bringing it up. So, he said, brightening, where would you like to go? There's a lot of Korea I'd like to show you, if you're willing. What about people finding out? She asked. You said everyone in Korea knows who you are. What if your family finds out I'm still here? What if they try to hurt me? They won't, Seojun said, steady. I'll protect you. My family not wanting me to marry someone from Nigeria doesn't make them dangerous people, Naya. What they'll try to do is keep us apart. That's the extent of it. And even that I won't let happen again. The wedding fell apart because I let it stay a secret. That's not happening this time. She studied him a moment, then nodded. Fine. Surprise me then. I'm open to it. That evening, he took her up Seoul Tower. The whole city spread out gold and glittering beneath them as the sun went down, and she laughed more freely than she had in weeks, leaning into the railing to take it all in. Later, on a Han River cruise, he pulled her to the bow of the boat, standing behind her with his arms outstretched to either side of her, and she laughed so hard at the reference she nearly lost her balance. "You've seen that movie?" she asked. "Everyone's seen that movie," he said. They ended the night over galbi, the two of them laughing between bites, easy in a way that felt almost unfamiliar after everything. By the time they got home, they fell asleep still half laughing about something neither of them could later remember. The next morning, Seo-jun's phone started ringing before either of them had properly woken up. He silenced it once, then again, and by the third call, his mother this time, Naya sat up, alarmed. "Did someone see us?" she asked. "Did they find out I'm here?" "I don't know," Seo-jun said, already pulling on a jacket. "Stay calm. I'm going to go find out what's going on." The compound looked ordinary when he pulled in, except for an unfamiliar car parked near the entrance, sleek and clearly not staff. He frowned, wondering who was visiting, and let himself inside. He found his parents and Ha-yoon in the main sitting room, all three of them animated, talking warmly with a man and a woman he didn't recognize. The woman was polished, composed, dressed the way people dressed when they knew exactly how much attention they were meant to command. Seo-jun's face fell the instant he understood. He knew exactly why they were here. "Dad, Mom." He crossed the room without greeting the guests. "I saw your calls. Is there a problem?" His father laughed, warm and performative for the benefit of the room. "Seo-jun, sit. We have a very important guest today, and I wanted you to meet her properly. This is what we've been calling about." "Dad, not now," Seo-jun said. "I told you I don't want this. I told you I want to choose for myself." "Not anymore, you don't," his father said, tone hardening beneath the smile. "We've waited long enough. You had your chance to choose someone, and look what came of it. So it's this: you accept the woman we've chosen for you, or you forget about marriage altogether." "Then I'd rather forget about it," Seo-jun said, flat. "I'd rather never marry than marry someone I don't love." "They can hear you," his father hissed. "Would you stop?" "I'm not doing this," Seo-jun said, and turned and went upstairs without another word. He'd barely sat down on the edge of his bed when a knock came at the door. "Who is it?" The door opened before he'd finished the sentence. The woman from downstairs let herself in, beautiful, composed, entirely unbothered by the fact that she hadn't been invited. "Seo-jun," she said. "What exactly is the problem here? Is it that you don't like me, or is there something else going on?" "It's not about liking you," he said. "I want to marry someone I actually love. I already have that person." Something flickered across her face, sharp and unimpressed. "Who? That local girl from Nigeria? You cannot be serious right now. You're choosing her over me?" Seo-jun crossed the room fast, closer than he meant to, voice low and hard. "Don't you ever insult her again. She may not have money. She's still everything I've ever actually wanted." "Get out," he said. "Get out of my room." She laughed, unbothered, already moving toward the door. "Pathetic," she said. "Whether you like it or not, we're getting married. There's nothing you can do to stop it." She shut the door behind her before he could respond. The next day, Seo-jun showed up at the penthouse and cooked for her, a Korean dish he clearly hadn't perfected but tried anyway, the two of them laughing at his mistakes in the kitchen. "Is everything okay at home?" Naya asked, watching him carefully. "Everything's fine," he said, and didn't elaborate further, and she let it go, choosing the good afternoon over the questions underneath it. Naya's first day at Hanul Capital Group left her a little breathless. The building alone was staggering, floor after floor of glass and quiet efficiency, and when she saw the number attached to her first paycheck, she nearly asked someone to double-check it. She'd never in her life imagined working somewhere like this, earning anything close to this. She thought of Seo-jun with something close to disbelief, grateful in a way she didn't fully have words for yet. She was still settling into her desk when her phone rang. Sylvia's name lit up the screen. "Sylvia?" Naya answered, confused. "What's— Naya, I'm in Korea." Sylvia's voice came fast, edged with panic. "Please, can you come get me? I don't have anywhere to go." Naya's grip tightened on the phone. "What are you doing in Korea? Why would you even come here, Sylvia? How in God's name did you even find out I was here?" "Mercedes," Sylvia said. "She didn't want to tell me, I promise. Don't be angry at her. It's my fault. I kept pestering her, wouldn't let it go, until she finally told me. And that made sense to you? Just showing up? I didn't have anywhere else to go, Sylvia said, voice cracking slightly. I lost my job at the bank, Naya, weeks ago. I didn't want to just sit in that house doing nothing, watching everyone look at me like I'd failed at something. I thought, I don't know, a change of country, starting over somewhere new, it felt like it might actually be good for me. And you're the only person I know here, the only one who could possibly help me. Naya sat there a long moment, stunned into silence, not sure what to do with any of it. Finally, she called Seo-jun. He came the moment she was off work, and together they drove out to find Sylvia. They found Sylvia in the arrivals hall, seated beside her luggage, 2 suitcases and a box held together with tape, scrolling her phone with the particular stillness of someone trying not to look as lost as she felt. The moment she spotted Naya, she was up and moving, arms already out. Naya stepped back before the hug could land. Stop! What are you even doing here, Sylvia? I already explained on the phone, Sylvia said, faltering. Why are you being like this? Because you're not welcome here, Naya said. Not after everything. Not after the wedding. I thought I'd finally put that behind me, and now you're standing in an airport in Korea like none of it happened. Her voice tightened. If Seo-jun's family hadn't come, you would have dragged that man away from me. You'd have taken his hand right there, because you met him first. Don't think I've forgotten that. Sylvia's face crumpled, and before Naya could stop her, she'd sunk down onto her knees right there in the terminal. Please, forgive me. I didn't mean any of it. I was being stupid, and I'm sorry, Naya, for everything I put you through. I would never do that again. People passing glanced over, but Naya barely registered them. I've forgiven you, she said quietly. I forgave your mother. I forgave Dad a long time ago, but I don't want any of you around me. I finally have peace, Sylvia. Since I came to Korea, I actually have peace. I can't go back to that. What your mother did to me, treating me like I wasn't even part of the family, like I was something to be used, I can't live near that again. Get up, Naya added, tugging gently at her arm. Sylvia rose slowly, wiping her face. I know I don't deserve it, but I am sorry. I'm not the same person who said those things to you. You're my big sister, and I love you. I know I don't always show it right. Sometimes it's just jealousy talking, saying things I don't mean. Naya looked at her a long moment, saying nothing, when Seo-jun appeared beside them. Everything okay here? Sylvia turned and hugged him immediately, startling him. My brother-in-law, she said, beaming through the last of her tears, already listing off compliments about how good he looked, how she'd heard so much about him. Seo-jun caught Naya's eye over Sylvia's shoulder, half amused, half uncertain. Let's get you both home, he said. Sylvia spent the entire drive with her face nearly pressed to the window. Korea is so fine, she kept saying, pointing at buildings, at signs, at anything that caught the light. Naya, look at that! Look at that one! I see it, Naya said, half smiling despite herself. How are things at home? Naya asked eventually. Mom and Dad, are they all right? Everyone's fine, Sylvia said. Mom and Dad have both been worried about you. I'm going to call and tell them tonight that you're okay. It's not like your mother's been worried, Naya said flatly. It's just Dad. You don't have to sugarcoat it for me. Sylvia gave a small laugh. Yeah, you're right, but she'll come around eventually. I don't care if she comes around or not, Naya said. It's clear she doesn't like me. I can't force someone to love me, Sylvia. I stopped trying a long time ago. Seo-jun glanced at her in the mirror but said nothing, letting the sisters talk. Oh, this is so nice, Sylvia said the moment they walked into the penthouse, spinning slowly to take it all in. I could really enjoy staying here. You're not staying here, Naya said. Next week, we're booking your flight back to Nigeria. I can't have you here, Sylvia. I don't want any part of that family near me right now, and that includes you, even after everything you just said. Once I get my first paycheck, I'll send you something to help you get on your feet. Start something small while you look for work back home. No, Sylvia said, alarmed. I don't want to go back to Nigeria. You will, Naya said, firm. This place isn't for you. Seo-jun cleared his throat gently. I have to get back. My mother needs me for something. I'll come check on you both later. Sylvia caught his sleeve before he left. Please, talk to her. Tell her I can stay. I really don't want to go back. Seo-jun just smiled, non-committal. You two will figure it out. And then he was gone. At the house, Ha-yoon was waiting for him the moment he walked in. Haven't you heard? She said. Heard what? Dad's put out an ultimatum, Ha-yoon said. If you don't marry her, the girl they picked, he's going to sell the company. Seo-jun stared at her. Why would he do that? You know exactly what you need to do to stop it, Ha-eun said. Go marry her, or watch the company get sold out from under you. Something in his chest went cold. He went straight to his parents' room and knocked, and when they called him in, he didn't bother sitting down. Dad, why would you even say something like that? Say what? His father asked, unbothered. What Ha-eun just told me. He said his sister's name like an accusation. His father set down what he was reading. Ah, we were still planning to tell you properly, but I suppose it's out now. Yes, the company's future depends on whether you marry the woman we've arranged for you. If you do, it stays in the family. If you don't, we sell it. Why would you do that to me? Seo-jun said. I don't want to marry her. Then give up the company, his father said simply. There's no other option, Seo-jun. You're the only son in this family. Your sister has no interest in running it. If she did, I'd have handed it to her already. She's building her own path, marrying into another family, building her name as an influencer. She can't take this on. You're the only one who can. Seo-jun stood there, the weight of it settling over him slowly, crushingly. You can't do this, he said. You can't actually do this to me. He went to find his mother next, desperation edging into his voice. Mom, please, talk to him. He can't do this to me. His mother looked at him with something almost gentle, almost sad. Just marry her, Seo-jun. Love comes later, I promise you that. I never loved your father when I married him. I learned to in time. Don't worry, you'll learn to love her too. Seo-jun said nothing. He turned and walked out of the room, out of the house, the weight of everything finally too much to carry standing still. Naya was standing at the gate seeing Sylvia off, a taxi already waiting to take her to the airport, her flight booked, bags loaded, when a car pulled into the compound. Sleek, unfamiliar, definitely not Seo-jun's. Naya froze. Nobody was supposed to know she was here except him. Get inside, she hissed at Sylvia, already pulling her back through the door. Quickly, don't make a sound. They stood pressed against the wall inside, breath held, as knocking started at the front door, patient, unhurried, the kind of knock that belonged to someone who wasn't going anywhere. It went on for several minutes. Naya waited it out, hoping whoever it was would give up. They didn't. Finally, she opened the door. The woman standing there was elegant, composed, dressed with the kind of quiet expanse that didn't need to announce itself. She smiled, polite and unbothered by how long she'd been kept waiting. You must be Naya, she said. I'm Choi Ye-jin, Seo-jun's arranged fiancé. Naya's grip on the door tightened. How did you find this place? That's not important. Ye-jin's tone stayed even, almost gentle. May I come in? I think we should talk. Naya stepped aside, more out of shock than hospitality. Ye-jin sat without being invited to, folding her hands in her lap. I take it Seo-jun hasn't told you about the arrangement. What arrangement? His father's given him an ultimatum. Marry me, or the company gets sold. Ye-jin watched Naya's face carefully as she said it, reading the surprise there. He really didn't tell you. Naya said nothing. Her mind was already racing backward, replaying every conversation with Seo-jun over the past weeks, searching for the moment he should have said something and hadn't. I didn't come here to make things difficult for you, Ye-jin said. I came because I wanted to ask you something directly, since apparently nobody else will. She leaned forward slightly. Do you know what that company actually is to him? He didn't inherit a title and disappear into meetings, Naya. He built half of what it is now. He's COO because he earned it, not because of his last name. That company is him, in every way that matters. If he gives it up, she paused, it will break something in him that doesn't come back. Naya's mouth had gone dry. So I have to ask you, Ye-jin said, quiet now. Is that really what you want for him? For you? Naya opened her mouth and found nothing there. She just stared back at the woman across from her, dumbfounded, no answer coming, none at all. Seo-jun found his parents in the study that evening, and this time he didn't wait to be acknowledged. Sell it, he said. The company. Sell all of it. His father looked up slowly. Excuse me? I'm choosing Naya, Seo-jun said. If that costs me the company, then it costs me the company. Having it without her in my life means nothing to me. Sell it. I don't care anymore. His mother's face went pale. His father rose from his chair, something between disbelief and fury moving across his face. Do you understand what you're saying? Everything this family has built? I understand exactly what I'm saying, Seo-jun said, and walked out before either of them could argue further. A few days later, He came back to the study one more time. "I've made my decision," he said. "I'm letting go of the company. In exchange, you let me marry whoever I choose. No more arrangements, no more ultimatums." His father studied him a long moment, jaw tight, then finally gave a single, cold nod. "Fine. Marry whoever you want. The company sells immediately." Seo-jun didn't wait around for anything else. He was in the car within minutes, driving straight for the penthouse, already imagining her face when he told her it was over, that he'd chosen her, fully, with nothing held back this time. The apartment was silent when he let himself in. Too silent. "Naya?" He moved through the rooms fast, calling her name. "Naya!" The closet stood empty. Her side of the bathroom counter, bare. Every trace of her, gone, like she'd never been there at all. "Naya, you can't do this to me," he said to the empty room, voice cracking. "No, Naya, no!" He called Sylvia's number. It rang and rang, unanswered. On the kitchen counter, he finally noticed the note, folded once, his name written across the front in Naya's handwriting. "Seo-jun, I know about your parents and the company. I know what you were about to give up for me, and I can't let you do it. That company is a part of you. I've heard enough now to understand exactly how much. I won't be the reason you lose it. By the time you read this, Sylvia and I will already be on our flight back to Nigeria. Please don't come after us. Live your life. Marry the woman your family has chosen. I think, in time, you'll come to care for her. She seems like a good person, and she clearly cares about what happens to you. I love you. I love you enough to walk away from this so you don't have to lose everything else. Naya." "No," Seo-jun said, crushing the note in his fist. "You can't do this, Naya. I don't care about the company. It means nothing without you." The weeks that followed blurred into something he barely remembered clearly. Nights that ended in empty glasses, mornings that started too late, a version of himself he didn't recognize in the mirror. He tried once to book a flight to Nigeria. Ha-yoon stopped him at the door before he could leave, physically blocking it. "Enough," she said. "Naya made this decision for you. You can't keep going back and forth, chasing her down every time it hurts. If she loved you enough to give this up so you wouldn't have to, the least you can do is respect that. I can't just let her go, Ha-yoon. You have to," she said, softer now. "Look at yourself. This drinking, this isn't you. Naya chose this because she loves you. Honor that. Marry Ye-jin. She's not a bad person, Seo-jun. You might actually come to care for her if you let yourself." In Nigeria, the kitchen smelled of onions and pepper. Naya and Sylvia working side by side at the counter, Sylvia chopping vegetables with more effort than skill. "I still don't understand why you did that," Sylvia said. "If it were me, I would have fought. I would have fought for that man with everything I had." Naya didn't look up from the pot. "What would you know about love?" "Excuse me? You met him first, remember?" Naya said, a dry edge creeping into her voice. "When he was pretending to be poor, crippled, no money, nothing to offer anyone. If you were really the loving type, none of that would have mattered to you at all." Sylvia opened her mouth, then closed it again, nothing coming out. She sat there in the silence that followed, and for once had absolutely nothing to say. Naya's stepmother stepped into the kitchen doorway, her voice softer than either of the girls had heard it in years. "Sylvia, could you excuse us? I need to speak with your sister." Sylvia glanced between them, then quietly set down her knife and left the room. Naya turned off the stove, wiping her hands on her apron, waiting. "I owe you an apology," her stepmother said, and the words seemed to cost her something to say. "For everything. For the cruelty. For every year I made you feel like you didn't belong in this house." Her voice caught slightly. "I know it might take time before you can forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I was jealous of you, of how smart you are, how beautiful, everything I always felt Sylvia wasn't, and I took that out on you instead of ever looking at myself." Naya said nothing, watching her carefully. Her father appeared in the doorway behind his wife. "Naya, please, forgive your stepmother. And forgive me too, for standing by all these years and letting it happen instead of protecting you the way I should have. We want to be better to you, both of us, starting now." Naya looked between them for a long moment. "If none of this had happened," she said quietly, "if you hadn't found out I nearly married a billionaire's son, would this apology be happening at all?" Her stepmother didn't flinch from the question. "That's what pushed us to finally see it, yes. I won't pretend otherwise. But seeing how badly we treated you, that part isn't about who you almost married." That part is just true, and I should have known it long before now. Naya felt something in her chest loosen, unexpectedly. She crossed the kitchen and let her stepmother pull her into a hug, her father's arms coming around them both a moment later, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, the embrace didn't feel like an obligation. It felt real. "I forgive you," Naya said, voice thick. "Both of you." 3 months later, Seo-jun stood in a dressing room in a suit that fit him perfectly and felt like nothing at all. Lim leaned against the doorframe, watching him straighten his tie for the 4th time. "You've been standing in front of that mirror for 10 minutes. I'm fine." "You look like a man walking to his own funeral," Lim said. "Cheer up a little, at least for the photos." Seo-jun let out a breath that wasn't quite a laugh. "I always believed I'd marry the love of my life. That's all I wanted, since I was a boy. And here I am, marrying someone I don't love, telling myself it's enough to just settle." Lim's expression softened. "It's going to be okay, I promise you that. But let's not spoil the day before it's even started. Everything that needed saying has been said. Come on, chin up." The church was full by the time Seo-jun took his place at the altar. His parents in the front row, Yejin's family beside them, Ha-eun dressed in something that probably cost more than most people's cars, the whole room humming quietly with the particular scent of old money. Yejin came down the aisle composed, graceful, every inch the bride her family had raised her to be. When they reached the vows, Seo-jun slid the ring toward her hand, steady despite everything. Yejin looked at it, then up at him, and didn't take it. "Wait," she said. A murmur rippled through the church. Seo-jun blinked, caught completely off guard. "Yejin? Keep the ring," she said, loud enough to carry. "You need to give it to someone else." Before anyone could react, she turned and walked to the back of the church, pulling the doors open herself. A moment later, she came back in, and behind her, in a wedding dress of her own, stood Naya. The entire church turned as one. Seo-jun's breath left him completely. He stared at her like he didn't trust what he was seeing. His mother was the first to move, crossing the aisle fast, his father right behind her, both of them beaming in a way Seo-jun had never once seen from either of them. They reached Naya and took her hands, one on either side, and walked her up to the altar together, placing her hand directly into their son's. "Seo-jun," his mother said, eyes shining. "Here is your bride. We brought her to you." Seo-jun looked between his parents and Naya, utterly lost. What is happening right now?" "You can marry her," his father said simply. "That's what's happening." Yejin, standing off to the side now, smiled warmly. "It's all right," she said. "Let us explain." Weeks earlier, in Nigeria, Naya had been sitting in the living room with her parents and Sylvia when her phone rang, a Korean number she didn't recognize. She stepped outside to take it. "Naya," the voice on the other end said. "This is Seo-jun's mother." Naya nearly dropped the phone. "Mrs. Wu." "I've watched my son fall apart these past months," Han Seo-yeon said. No trace of the coldness Naya remembered from the wedding. "He hasn't been himself since you left. He's been drinking, disappearing into himself. I don't recognize who he's become. His father and I have talked, and we want you back in Korea. Every member of this family supports you and Seo-jun being together now. Even Yejin." "Yejin?" Naya said, stunned. "But she's marrying him." "She never wanted this marriage," Han Seo-yeon said. "She's in love with someone else. Her family simply wouldn't allow it, wanted this match for business reasons instead. She doesn't want to marry my son any more than he wants to marry her. In fact, she was the one who convinced us that you were right for him. She told us to let the two of you be." Naya stood there, heart racing, unable to speak. "Come back to Korea," Seo-jun's mother said. "Please, come marry my son." The phone slipped slightly in Naya's grip. She ran back inside, laughing and crying at once, the sound coming out of her broken and joyful in the same breath. "I'm finally marrying the love of my life," she said, and her voice cracked right down the middle of the sentence. Sylvia shot up off the couch so fast she nearly knocked over a glass. "We're going to Korea! We're never coming back to Nigeria again!" Naya's smile faltered. "No, Sylvia." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Dad and I are the only ones going." The room went still. Sylvia's excitement drained visibly from her face, like someone had pulled a plug somewhere behind her eyes. "I've forgiven you," Naya said, and her hands were trembling slightly as she said it, the words costing her something even now. "I've forgiven you too, Mom." She made herself look at her stepmother directly. "But forgiving isn't the same as forgetting." I'm not ready to let either of you back into my life yet. Let things stay the way they are, for now. If there's ever something real I can help with, I will. That part of me hasn't changed. But right now, I need you both to stay away. Sylvia's chin wobbled. She looked like she wanted to argue and couldn't find the footing for it. What happened over the years doesn't just disappear because I said the words, "I forgive you," Naya went on, quieter now. Maybe with time. I don't know yet. Mrs. Campbell's jaw tightened, arms folding across her chest like armor. Is this because you're marrying a trillionaire now? She said, voice climbing. Fine. Sylvia will marry her own trillionaire one day too. Naya just looked at her, really looked, a long, tired look that held no anger left in it, only distance, and said nothing back. There was nothing left to win there. She turned instead to her father, and something in her whole body softened. Dad, I'm going to Korea. Her voice caught. The moment I land, I'll send your ticket. You're the one walking me down the aisle. Her father's eyes filled before he could stop them. He crossed the room and pulled her into his arms, holding on a beat longer than he ever had before. I'm proud of you, he said into her hair, voice rough. Go. Be happy. You've earned that. Naya held onto him tightly, breathing him in, years of waiting for exactly this folded into one embrace. Then she stepped back, wiped her face, and walked out without looking at the other two. The door had barely clicked shut before Sylvia rounded on her mother, tears spilling freely now. Why would you be like that to her? She's my sister. You spent years turning me against her, and now look, this is what it's cost us. Shut up, Mrs. Campbell snapped, the words like a slap. Wasn't it you that Trillionaire came to first? Why couldn't you just grab the opportunity and accept him? If you hadn't raised me the way you did, Sylvia shot back, voice shaking, I would have been the one going to Korea right now, marrying a trillionaire. Look what your bitterness has cost me. Enough! Mr. Campbell's voice cut through the room, sharper than either of them had heard in years. Both of you, stop! Mrs. Campbell muttered something under her breath and stalked back inside, leaving Sylvia standing alone in the doorway, chest heaving, tears streaking down her face. She pressed a hand over her mouth like she could physically hold the sound in. She kept thinking she couldn't believe this, that this was who her mother had always been, and she'd just now let herself see it. Back at the altar, Seo-jun turned to his mother, still trying to process it, breath unsteady. All of this happened behind my back? We wanted it to be a surprise, she said, smiling through tears of her own. He didn't wait for anything else. He crossed the space between them in 2 strides and swept Naya up into his arms.
They looked at me and saw the dust, a life they thought was not enough. They turned away before hello, certain they already knew. You never asked what I could give, or judged the way I chose to live. You simply smiled and took my hand when no one else would understand. You saw the light behind these tired eyes. You believed in me before the sunrise. You loved me first before the world believed, before the truth could set me free. Hope and scars, you held my heart inside your arms. If I have anything today, it's because you never walked away.
I love you so much, Naya. I bless the day I met you.
I love you more, my love.
I thought I'd lost you forever, he said into her hair, voice breaking apart on every word. I thought we'd never see each other again. I'm sorry for leaving, Naya said, tears sliding freely down her face now, her hands fisted in the back of his jacket. I just couldn't let you lose everything because of me. It's fine, he said, setting her down just enough to look at her properly, cupping her face in both hands like he needed to memorize it all over again. None of that matters now. You're here. The ceremony that followed was the one that should have happened months earlier. Vows exchanged with both their voices shaking. No secrets standing between them this time. The ring sliding onto Naya's finger to a wave of applause that shook the whole church, warm and thunderous. Yejin was the first to reach her afterward, pulling her into a hug that felt nothing like obligation. Ha-eun hugged her next, laughing through her own tears, then his parents, one after another, until Naya was surrounded on every side by a family that had finally, fully chosen her. Her father stood just behind her shoulder the entire time, beaming, his chest visibly swelling with pride every time someone congratulated him on his daughter. That evening, the two families gathered around a long table heavy with food, Korean dishes beside Nigerian ones, steam rising off both, the whole room smelling like celebration. Naya's father sat beside Woo Min-jae, the two of them laughing over something lost entirely in translation, gesturing wildly to fill the gap. Ha-eun and Yejin leaned into each other across the table, already trading stories like old friends. Naya sat back for a moment, just watching it all. The noise, the warmth, every person at that table someone who had actually chosen to be there for her. Her eyes stung, but this time it was the good kind. Beside her, Seojun's hand found hers under the table and held on, thumb moving slowly over her knuckles, like he intended never to let go again.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you in the next story.
And that's the end of our story. I hope you loved watching Naya and Seojun find their way back to each other as much as I loved bringing it to you. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a good cry and a happy ending today. Let me know in the comments, if you were in Naya's shoes, would you have forgiven Seojun for lying and pretending to be crippled and be honest? Did you see that twist coming with Seojun's family finally accepting Naya and even Yejin standing behind them getting married? And one more, if you were Naya, after everything, would you have let your sister and your stepmom back into your life the way she almost did, or would you have kept that same distance? Before I let you go, let's talk about what this story really taught us. Number 1. Love should be tested by character, not by circumstance. Naya didn't love Seojun because of what he could give her. She loved him when she believed he had absolutely nothing. That's the whole heart of this story. Real love shows up before it knows what it's getting. Number 2. Kindness costs you nothing, but cruelty always shows its face eventually. Everything Sylvia and her mother did to Naya when they thought it didn't matter, it mattered. It played out in front of everyone, at the worst possible moment for them. How you treat people when no one's watching is exactly who you are. Number 3. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it definitely doesn't mean you have to let people back in immediately. Naya forgave her family, but she still drew a line, and that's healthy. That's real. You can let go of the bitterness without handing someone a front row seat to your life again. Number 4. Secrets and lies, even the ones we tell for what feel like good reasons, always cost more than the truth would have. Seojun's lie almost cost him the very thing he built it to find. Number 5. Don't ever judge people by what they appear to have. Nearly everyone in this story misjudged that man based on his clothes, his wheelchair, what he looked like he could offer. Every single one of them was wrong. So if there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, don't be Sylvia. Don't be Naya's stepmother. Be the person who's kind even when nobody's checking your receipts. Alright, that's it for me today. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who needs to hear this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.